What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, guys, we're going to be covering our first deck for post rotation, and I decided to go with N's Zoroark as my first selection. I'm going to try to get some of the decks that I really won't need a lot of stuff in perfect order from first, so that way there's plenty of content to be had once we initially get into the release of perfect order. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the main attacker, which is going to be N's Zoroark EX. We are playing a 4/4 line of that. It's got the trade ability. You can pitch a card and draw 2 cards. And then Night Joker for 2 dark energies. Choose one of your bench N's Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So we have a lot of different options in this deck as far as attacking goes. And with the release, I cannot remember what set it was, where we got the N's Zekrom. This deck just got a lot better because it can actually hit a lot harder. Next up, we have 2 copies of N's Darmanitan and N's Darumaka, so a 2/2 line. But this has the backdraft attack. This attack does 30 for each basic energy in your opponent's discard pile. This could be pretty good against the Roulette. But most of the time, we're going to be using the Flame Body Cannon. It's going to do 90, and then you discard all energy from this Pokemon, and this attack does 90 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's just a good way to pick off some Pokemon in one of those like setup decks, like Dragapults. Pick off some Riolus. You can pick off just whatever. Next up, we have 2 copies of N's Zekrom. So it's got Shred for 70, which bypasses all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, which is pretty good. And then we have Rampaging Thunder for 250, and then during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use attacks. So this is a really good attack because it's doing way more than Reshiram's 170 attack, which we'll get to that and why this is still very useful in a second. But the Zekrom, along with the Binding Mochi and things like that, allow you to actually hit for pretty pivotal numbers, and that is why N's Zekrom is so good, and we're running 2 copies of it because that 250 attack is so clutch. But like I said, we do have 1 copy of N's Reshiram. So this can pick off some smaller Pokemon with the Virtuous Flame for 170 or soften something up. But it also has Powerful Rage. It does 20 times for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So if N's Zoroark survives an attack, well, you can just use Powerful Rage and basically just swing right back. So that's really nice. And then we have, of course, Monkey Dory. We are playing Dark Energy, so this is just a good way to move some damage over and maybe set up some KOs. 1 copy of Pheasantipity EX. This is a good way for us to recover some cards in our hand once a Pokemon is knocked out. And then we have 1 copy of Petrant EX. So, Subjugating Chains. Once during your turn, you may switch one of your bench Dark Pokemon, except Petrant, with your active Pokemon, and the new one is going to be Poison. So this is really good because this is going to trigger our Binding Mochis and things like that we have in the deck. So that's pretty good, which we'll get to all that in a moment. So yeah, the general strategy here, we have the N's Zekrom basically for the big attacks, and then we have Darmanitan to be able to just kind of snipe some stuff. So a lot of versatility with this deck, which is really cool. Next up, we have 4 copies of Lily's Determination. And then you guys are going to notice there's actually a couple cards in here I got to point out. You notice I have 1 copy of Brock Scouting. It's supposed to be a 3rd Serrano. Serrano just lets you search for up to 3 Pokemon EX and put them in your hand. I'm trying to put stuff in there that is very similar to what I'm missing, so that way I don't forget. I need to go through a bulk box at a store because I could not find a 3rd Serrano and I could not find another Soul Scrapper. So we're going to have to dig and look for that. So we got 3 copies of Serrano, 3 copies of Boss's Order. Then we have 1 Janine's Secret Art. And then we have 1 copy of Black Belt's Training to dish out a little bit more when it comes to numbers, which is nice. As for the searching cards, we have 4 Buddy Buddy Poffin. I'll try to get that in frame. There we go. There we go. So we got 4 Buddy Buddy Poffin, 4 Pokepads. This is where the Serrano comes into play because Pokepad can search out basically everything in the deck except for the Zoroarks and these 2 right here. Next up, we have 2 Ultra Ball. We have 3, just 2. Oh, that's why. Got them backwards. We have 3 N's Viagra. So N's Viagra allows you to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench N's Pokemon. This is a really, really good way to power up the N's Zoroark. And with the trade ability, it's very easy to throw energy into the discard pile. Then we have 2 copies of Night Stretcher. 1 switch. I decided to throw in a switch just in case. I know we also have the Petron here to allow us to switch around, but this is just something I'm trying. This can 100% be another card if you would like. And then the A-spec of choice for the deck is going to be Unfair Stamp. This is really good. Your opponent's going to reshuffle and draw 2 cards. You draw 5, and then you also have access to the trade ability, so that's a really good way. And then if you're able to Darmanitan or something like that and Unfair Stamp, you got yourself a pretty good situation going. 2 copies of Binding Mochi. Basically, this is where Petron's going to come in with the additional damage. Attacks used by the poison Pokemon cards attached to you do 40 more. So if you copy in Zekrom, it's poisoned. You got Black Belt's training. There's a lot of damage modifiers there, which is really nice. Then we have 2 copies of End's Castle. End's Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent have no retreat cost. And then the last card I'm going to talk about, this is in here, and it's supposed to be Tool Scrapper. So keep that in mind. That's supposed to be a Tool Scrapper. So we're running Jamming Tower because it's very similar, and I don't want to forget. As for the energy, pretty straightforward. It is just going to be 8 Dark Energy to round out the deck. Like I said, this is a very straightforward deck to play overall. You're really just kind of setting up in Zoroark. You have the trade abilities. That's a great draw engine in itself. And you got Petron to kind of move your Pokemon around out of being locked around. And Zekrom is for those big attackers. Reshiram can set up some damage or just pick off some smaller stuff and still maintain your ability to attack next turn. And then Darmanitan is going to be there to pick off some Pokemon while your opponent is setting up their board. And then, of course, we have all kinds of searching in the deck with the Buddy Poffins, the Pokepads, the Ultra Balls, the Serranos. It's all in here. So I thought this would be a really good starting list going into next format. Like I said, I don't have all the cards for it, but I was just missing a couple, and I figured that would be fine with just 1 Serrano and Tool Scrapper. I know I got them somewhere, but I cannot freaking find them. But that is going to do it for me, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Going to try to revive the Pokemon content, especially with deck profiles for the upcoming rotation. Throw out some sample lists and just kind of see what sticks and what doesn't. But that is all for me. You guys take care and have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.